Welcome back to the Adventure Athletes podcast. In this week's episode, I sit down with Arlo Rogers, a rock climber here in South Wales. Now, Arlo was a fascinating person to talk to. He is an incredible climber, climbing some grades that most people would only dream of. But what made me most interested about Arlo is he's got zero sort of competitive incline in terms of going to competitions, doing different styles of climbing to try and push for sponsorships and for medals and everything else that comes along with being a competitive climber. He is only interested in pushing himself and seeing how far he can take his climbing. So that was really cool to see. He's a really good climber and we have some really good chats in this episode. So, enjoy the podcast. What was your call to adventure?
My call to adventure. I can't really remember my call to adventure, to be honest. I've always been into just being outside and having a good time since I was a kid. I was never into gaming and PlayStations and Wii's and stuff. I was always just I don't know, just even when I was very young, I'd always just be playing out with mates, making dens, fires, just getting up to no good and all that kind of stuff. And then I was really into cycling when I was a kid, into swimming, all the things classic sports that kids do, and bushcraft and camping and stuff. And then as long as I can remember, I've just been sort of trying to do stuff like that and have a good time. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
When did you get into climbing then?
So then climbing kind of followed from that, I suppose. It must have been 12 years ago now, maybe. So I was really into sort of doing all of that with my mates and just sort of having a good time and just camping and doing stuff in the outdoors and sort of cycling and running and sports like that. And then it always really interested me, just those sorts of outdoor sports like climbing, kayaking, surfing. I was just really psyched for all of them. And, I just thought it was really cool. And then I went to the local climbing wall, to the kids club, the night class club. And just started going every Saturday. And then I remember after 6 weeks, I was getting a lift home with my parents, and I was I want to quit. I was I'm bored. I was I know everything. I was I can tie a knot, I can belay, and I can climb 6A. I was I'm done. I know everything about climbing. I was I'm done. I don't want to go anymore. I was I'm done. I want to do another sport. And my parents I think you should keep going for a little bit. You should just stay for a few more weeks. And I was I don't really want to. And they were well, you got to stay for this month. And then it sort of got a bit out of control. And the manager at the time was really into getting kids out climbing. So he'd take us to the Roaches and take us tried climbing on the grit. And that's kind of how I got into climbing outside. And I remember when I first started climbing outside, I was all I knew of it was just top roping V-diffs at the Roaches. And I was this kind of sucks. I don't know if I like this climbing outside thing. I was I kind of pulling hard on the roof indoors. I don't want to be not being able to fall off on a ladder outside. And then I went to see some BMC youth meets. They do the BMC put on these things where they help kids getting into climbing outside. Really good actually. For not very much, you sort of get a mentor for the weekend, and then you just go cragging basically. And then made some friends through that, and then just got a bit out of hand and started climbing quite a lot.
So you haven't really stopped climbing since then, by the sounds of it. So
not really.
A while.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest achievement in climbing then?
I don't know really. I mean, I don't know if I've got any single biggest achievement. I've climbed quite a lot. I do a lot of sport climbing. Red pointed quite a lot around 8C plus 9A, but I suppose maybe not one of them singly would stand out. And then maybe one of my biggest achievements actually, I did a new route in the Gower on Zulu Wall. That was really cool. That was but that feels like an achievement just because it was all quite out there. I didn't really, it was all quite unknown. I remember I taught myself to bolt on it actually. When I did Zulu Wall, this 8A, I looked over, I was that looks amazing. These little flowstone pinchers, and I was there's got to be a route up there. And then I remember one day in Cardiff, it was just another weekend of it hammering it down, and I just got so bored of just training and just hang out in the city and stuff. And I was I just want to I really want to go and just sort of just see if there's a route there. So I remember being in the Flashpoint car park and just having bolts on the floor, and someone who works there walked past being do you know what you're doing, Arlo? I was like, not really, to be honest. Like, I just watched like a load of YouTube videos and stuff, and then turned up. It's like a half an hour walk in over these fields. And I was walking in with like a stake, ropes, all this like metal work, a drill, and everything, and like it was like howling with wind. I got there, spent ages building like a massive belay, then found someone to put a little expansion bolt there. And over the end, and like the extent to which like I was teaching myself, I put the drill and I was like, it's not working. How do you drill? Then I was like, oh, it's not even in hammer mode. And then like I was basically, it's so steep, I was like back aiding on like little RPs to like get down it, and then like but then going in on the expansions, but then because it was so steep, I couldn't like reach down far enough, otherwise it'd be like a meter apart. So I was like back aiding on these RPs, but the problem is, as I was going down, the tide was coming up, and it was like winter swell. It was massive. So like when I got like near the bottom, I was like, every other wave is just like kind of hitting me now. This is like I probably shouldn't really be here. And it was starting to get a bit dark. And then on the last one, like every wave was like, and I was there like hanging off a little RP and straight, being like, I really want to get this last one in. Then it's just done. But also like every wave's just fucking me here, and then eventually the RP went like flying out into a wave. And then anyway, finished it that day. Finished bolting it with the expansions. Went back and replaced it with the glue-ins, and then did it maybe a few months later. So that feels like quite a good one, just because it was so much. It was new for me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, maybe it's like now it wouldn't stand out the most, but at the time it felt like for me personally quite out there because so much involved and it was a new experience. But yeah, I don't know if anything particularly stands out as like the biggest achievement I've done. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you've gone to that because it's not like your hardest climb or anything. It's not anything like super spectacular. It's just the fact that you've had to like learn a lot of stuff and you've just gone out there and just been like, how the fuck do I use a drill?
Yeah.
And just turned it into this massive adventure. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I do quite like these little. I do just like these little quests. To be fair, just like having a good time and adventure, and like, yeah, I do like the sort of the whole sport and athlete side of it. But I think it can be easy to sort of lose sight of like what you're there for sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, when you're like on a hangboard with a stopwatch and like, you know.
Yeah, I tend to have this debate within myself because I'm a coach and everything, and I love the numbers and I love the science behind it. But then it's also, where's the joy in numbers?
Yeah.
We're not doing maths. We're here to.
Yeah, me too. I love the training side of it and stuff, but also like it's definitely not the primary objective. But I think as human beings, we are like we like numerical things. We like things that are quantifiable. You know, you like humans like to be like, last week I climbed this number, this week I climbed this number, I'm getting better. This week I like hung this much. Last week I hung this much. I'm getting better or I'm getting worse. I think humans like to like have numerical things that they can categorize, don't they, to sort of, I don't know, self-validate or whatever.
Yeah, and that's where the grading system comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because it's essentially like all you're doing is climbing up rocks.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, how can we make this measurable? How can I track my progress? So they've come up with this completely arbitrary way of.
Yeah, I know, like, obviously each discipline's got its own grading system, and I view grades a bit like a menu, to be honest. A bit like a menu at a restaurant. Like, when you turn up, you want to, like, you want to know what sort of experience you're going to get. And that number tells you what sort of experience you're likely going to get on the rock. And if you draw, like, where it is, what rock type it is, how good you are at the moment, how in shape you are, that number will tell you what you're likely to expect on that route. And from that, you can draw what experience you want. I think that's a nice way to look at it. Like, you know, like, if you want an experience of, like, being, like, quite run out and, like, having, like, a nice quest, like, get quite pumped, but, like, feeling control the whole time, you can sort of use a grade to try and find that experience, you know.
Yeah. So for someone, because a lot of my listeners know nothing about climbing, for someone that's like completely new to climbing so they can sort of understand it a bit more, how would you describe the different types of climbing and like the sort of grading systems?
So you've got, I suppose, the main three ones is bouldering, sport climbing, and trad climbing. at least here in the UK around here, they're the three main ones with three like distinctive grading systems. So there's sport climbing. It basically just follows a number and then a letter, and it's so for example, it would go 6A, 6A plus, 6B, 6B plus, 6C, 6C plus, and then it would go into the sevens, 7A, 7A plus, 7B, 7B plus, and then it would follow through all of them. And the hardest one in the world at the moment is 9C. And then bouldering is basically exactly the same. So like font 7A, font 7A plus. And indoors, sometimes they have like V grades. So like V1, V2, V3, V4, and that just translates directly to one of the numbers in bouldering. And then you've got trad climbing, where it's up to E. There's like a amount of... The trad climbing one's quite confusing because you've basically got letters, numbers, and then more numbers. So you've got a bit that tells you how dangerous it's going to be, and then a bit that tells you how difficult it's going to be. So it all came from when they'd do, like, when climbing started, it would be like, you know, someone would do something, they'd be like, oh, that was difficult, that was. They'd be talking to their mate in the pub, oh, that was difficult. And then their mate would be like, oh, that one was very difficult. And so it started being, you know, like, moderate, difficult, very difficult, hard, very difficult, severe, very severe, hard, very severe. And then after that, it goes into the E's, which is extreme. So E1, E2, E3, E4, like so on. And then after that, you've got number, and that kind of tells you how hard the hardest move's going to be, and they correlate. So like an E5 6A could be quite a bold 6A move, or it could be sustained 6A, which is quite safe. And it kind of doesn't make any sense at all until you've done a bit of it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've kind of just got to, like, sort of do it and just sort of grasp it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trad climbing is a world of its own.
Yeah.
I find it funny because the names is like, it starts with difficult, and it's like, that doesn't sound easy.
No, but it's quite nowadays.
And up to like hard, very severe. Like if you went to someone that doesn't climb and was like, that climb's rated a hard, very severe.
Very severe, or even just severe.
Yeah, they would just be like, fucking hell. Like,
yeah.
That's like gotta be scary, right? And it's like, oh no, that's one of the easier ones.
Easier, safer ones. Yeah.
And people are like, oh, proper climbing doesn't start till the E grades.
I know, yeah. But I think a common misconception is that, like, you know, like amongst like maybe people that don't climb so much, is that like the high E grades are dangerous, and that's like a very common misconception. Like, I think, you know, there's a lot of like E9s, E7s, 8s, 9s that are completely safe, just like just objectively, like in terms of relative to stuff easier. Like if you fall off, the gear's good, and like it's just very hard, you know.
Yeah.
I think like E9 doesn't mean death, and E1 doesn't mean absolutely fine, you know.
Yeah. So it's more to do with like how difficult it is rather than how safe it is.
Yeah, it's like a correlation between the difficulty and the danger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, E5 you could have an E5 5C, which would mean 5C moves that you really shouldn't fall off and you could get quite hurt, or E5 6B, which is really quite safe but hard 6B moves, and like there's a bit of wiggle room in that, but that's kind of generally what it would be like. E5 6A would be somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
And then when they come up with these grades, it is just the person's opinion as well.
It is, yeah. It's just someone's opinion, and then like and then people climb it afterwards, and they offer their opinion.
Yeah.
And people get a bit too. I think people get a bit too worked up on like getting it wrong as well. Like someone just does a first route, does a route for the first time. I think they just suggest a grade, and then people afterwards sort of agree or disagree, and then eventually it settles at what grade people think it is. I think people get quite like, you know, like people, you know, will like guessing wrong by a plus grade and then get absolutely hounded. So actually, they weren't that far off. Do you know what I mean? Like they like. So yeah, I think if someone does it, they suggest what they think it is, and other people do it, and it ends up settling at like a certain number. Yeah.
There's a climb I always think about in TAF as well, where it's graded A4.
A4.
No, just
F4. Okay, yeah.
Like a sport route, and all the other routes on the wall are like 5A plus, like it goes all the way up to 6E plus, I think, on that wall. And I've always found the 4 the hardest route on the wall. Like starting
Yeah.
the 4, I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like the amount of people I've taken climbing there, and then they've been like, oh, this is a 4, so like I'm gonna jump on this, and then I've seen them not even be able to start the route.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who graded this?
Yeah. Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? Like, I remember like a couple of summers ago, like I like was climbing in the south of France and on sighted for quite a lot in like the lower 8s at the beginning of the trip, and then had like, had like not much sleep and had been climbing all day and was on this like pitch of like 6C plus in the Verdun, and like got closer to falling off it than any of the 8s I'd done in the last like 3 weeks, just because it was just like a bit exposed. I was a bit pumped. I fucked it up a bit. Like I was quite tired. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's just you can't take it too seriously, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, climbing is just a wild world, I find. And it's all dependent as well on like what area you're in, what type of block you're on.
100%. Yeah.
And then grading abroad is different as well. So like going to like America and Canada.
Oh yeah, I was in Norway this summer, and like it's just like graded like in like numericals, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I think the difference with a lot of places like that is a lot of their trad is it just follows cracks, so that it's less necessary for danger.
Yeah.
Whereas we like a lot of ours is like, sort of questing around little RPs all over the place, little like bits of shit sky hooks, and like, do you know what I mean? It's quite a different style of climbing. Like,
yeah. Just watching documentaries on climbing, and I always find like the UK and the Czech Republic to be two of like the sketchiest places.
Yeah, it's mad. Like when I'm
routes.
traveling, people just think that Brits are mad. People just think that Brits are like crazy. I think it all comes from the like old like hard grit kind of like era. But it seems a bit dying a bit, to be fair. People aren't like doing as much, which like it's not such a bad thing. Like I smashed my legs to pieces on the gritstone like 5 years ago now maybe. But like I think that's where it comes from. Like all the videos of people just like hitting the ground, and quite a lot when I've been abroad as well. I've just played up to it. I've just been like, sometimes when I'm climbing with randomers, like they ask for a belay, I'm like, yeah, no worries, man, of course, yeah, and then just put my body belay, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. In the UK, we find like metalwork very unethical. It's like not allowed at crags. We use like we just do this. So like, off you go. They can like. I'd much prefer if you use a Greek. You're like, no, I really it doesn't agree with my ethics. I'm very good with this.
That must really wind me, but I'm doing that. I do love a good body belay though.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, not the most comfortable, but it's also like doing turning slings into harnesses.
Yeah.
Things like that, and people just look at you like, is this safe?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's perfectly safe.
It's just not very comfortable.
Really not comfortable.
Yeah.
Like that's all a harness is, right?
Yeah.
It's some slings with some padding.
Pretty much.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with some slings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of rope rescue stuff, so learning all the little tips and tricks comes in handy, but everyone just looks at you like, I don't know if this is alright anymore.
Yeah. A lot of it's just using just like sort of not common sense, but like just initiative, isn't it? It's just to know like what is actually like safe and not.
Yeah, it's problem solving.
Yeah.
Which is why I like rope soloing, because you can get yourself in some right predicaments doing that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can I get out of this? And being in the position where you know you can get out of it safely.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where people go wrong and think like that is too dangerous. Like, don't ever do that. It's like, no, you just gotta know what you're doing and how to save yourself if you fuck up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Going back to the grades and everything then. So you said 9C plus is the hardest class.
9C.
9C. And you've got up to 9A.
Yeah, 1, yeah.
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 So that's like pretty up there.
Not as much as you'd think though. Like the difference between 9A plus is huge. 9, like, for context, like I'm not, like, maybe, I think 4 people in from the UK have climbed 9B, I think. 3 or 4. No one's climbed 9B plus 9C, I don't think. No, yeah. But, I don't know, maybe Excalibur. Yeah. Either way, probably about 4 people have climbed above 9A plus now. And probably about I don't know, maybe 20, 30 have climbed 9A.
I mean,
So
that's still a pretty small number.
It's still quite a big jump between like the
Yeah.
yeah.
But then, when you're comparing yourself to like the majority of the climbing world in the UK, at least, like there's a lot more than like there's thousands of climbers across the UK, and for you to be in like the top 20, essentially.
Maybe 30, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe I actually don't know how many climbs in the UK have, and I'm 980 fair. Maybe more, maybe like 50. I actually don't know, but yeah, maybe like probably no more than 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's still quite a number to be in. Like when you think of it like that, if I turned around and was like, I'm like one of the top 100 sprinters in the UK, people would be like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird with climbing, though, isn't it? It's like it's almost like a lifestyle sport. You know, you don't really think like that, I suppose. Yeah.
I find that with climbers, like you'll obviously get some, but especially when you get to that sort of upper level, the people that are really getting to that upper level aren't that concerned about it.
No.
They just enjoy doing climbing, and it is their life.
Yeah.
And then they perform better because that's all they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas you get people that are like sort of mid-pack, they're the more competitive ones, I find.
Yeah.
It's probably the same in any sport.
It is
right?
that is definitely the same. That I can totally vouch for that in climbing as well. Like all the people I've climbed with who are like really quite good, they're just so chill, and they take it seriously and they're analytical, but they're like very supportive and like really try and like make other people feel included, and they just don't understand like what it is, and just sort of like also happy to just have a good time, like just going parties and just doing other fun things with their life. Whereas I think a lot of people, maybe take it a bit too seriously, and I think it probably inhibits them a little bit. Like for me anyway, with my climbing and anything in life, to be honest, like an exam or like anything, I need to be quite relaxed and quite sort of have enough pressure to make me perform well, but not so much like get overwhelmed. I know a lot of these people who like put almost too much weight on it. It's almost like a ceiling, because they just, it almost means so much that they can't, and they've sacrificed so much that they can't, you know, so much is riding on that one thing, it all becomes too much.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe that's as well, I'll never climb 90, I don't know.
See, I'm fully on board with that. I was just thinking of when I used to do like gymnastics, trampolining, free running, that sort of stuff. For years, I was like, I really want to do a double backflip. Like that was my goal for so long, and I was like, this is the year that I'm going to do it, and I'd write these plans and build up to it, and then I could never do it. And it got to a point where I was maybe like 2.5 years in, and I was just like, I don't care about doing double backflip anymore. Maybe I'm just not built for it. Like I don't have the right frame. Like I'm just not good enough for it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to scrap it. The next day, I went in on a trampoline and I did my first double backflip.
Yeah,
because I just took all that pressure off myself to do it. And I was like, why the fuck have I been stressing so much about it? And then like literally the moment that I was like, you know what, I don't care anymore, I was then able to do it.
Yeah, when something means that much to you, it's like, it can, yeah. I think people often think about sort of the outcome too much, you know, rather than like enjoying what they're doing and what's happening. And realistically, if you go on like a trip, for example, and you've got like an objective in mind, and you do it or you don't do it, nothing really changes in your life. Like no one really cares. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like genuinely, no one really cares. Like you might get maybe a few likes on Instagram. You might like your mates might say well done, but like no one actually cares. But like, so if you're gonna make yourself miserable trying to do it, then it just seems completely pointless to me.
Yeah.
You know, like whereas if you have a really good time and enjoy the process of trying to do that, it's almost like the end goal. You know, everything else is like just as valuable. I think then like you're less likely to go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually been thinking about this sort of stuff a lot recently, where you want to take it seriously, but you don't at the same time. Because like you're saying, like, no matter what it is, it could be like weightlifting, it could be gymnastics, it could be rock climbing, it could be running. Like, it's not that serious.
No.
Like, whether you do your goal or you don't, you're not going to die.
No.
Like, the way I used to explain it when I coached gymnastics, I used to say to my gymnasts who were stressing over a competition, they're like, "Oh, it's the British Championships. Like, I got to do all my routines," and I could see that like built up tension in them, and I was just like, "When you get home tonight, like when you win, what are your parents gonna do?" They're like, "Oh, well, like we'll go out for dinner, then I'll go home, go to sleep." And then I was like, "If you lose, what's going to happen tonight?" They're like, "Oh, well, we'd go out for dinner.
Yeah.
I'd go home and I'd sleep." And I was like, the outcome's the same. Like, it doesn't matter. They're not just going to be like, "You know what? You're kicked out. Like, get out the house."
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to die. No one's going to be, like, wildly upset other than you because you're putting so much importance on it. And it's like, you want the importance there because you want it to matter to you and for it to be, like, an actual achievement.
Yeah, and also if you, if you are doing a sport like climbing, like, or anything, any sport like that, you're in a pretty lucky position. You're spending your free time doing like something you enjoy. So like, you've already kind of won. Like it's true, isn't it? You're like with your mates at a crag by the sea on holiday, maybe. Like you're already kind of winning. So anything else is kind of a bonus. But yeah, I don't know. I think like it's hard though, isn't it? Because also like I quite like sort of like obviously I quite like trying to climb hard and push myself and climb like routes that like I'm inspired to do, and obviously that does take like a certain amount of sacrifice and training, and like it's like a fine balance between not like going too far one way or the other way. I do think people often maybe don't like maximize their potential in climbing or any sport, but they could. But I also think so many people get so like worked up in it, and actually maybe they'd be happier if they sort of like zoomed out a little bit and looked at the bigger picture rather than being so hyper focused. Almost like I feel like a lot of people have almost been a bit brainwashed. You know what I mean? Like, and actually like maybe like a lot like maybe they like sort of don't 100% realize the extent to which how much of it for them is like also just like you go to the wall, you see your mates, like like you have a good, you have a laugh, but also if you get too drawn that way, I guess you like maybe you won't be satisfied with what you're doing. So I don't know. I do think it's a hard balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. And it becomes more hard, right, when you're trying to make it your job. So if you're trying to like get sponsorships, get branding, competing.
Yeah, that would be. I imagine that'd be so stressful. Oh my god! Like I've always thought this. Like if doing a route or like winning a race meant like getting your next sponsorship, it would just be mental. Like the pressure. Like yeah, it would be absolutely mad. Yeah. Yeah.
So I always find it funny. Like I look at obviously running's my current obsession, and I look at some of the best runners, and then you realise like they've got normal jobs like everyone else. They're not like professionals in the fact that that's all they do. Some of them are, but like I love just watching people, and it's like, oh, like you're a teacher and you now have to go back to school and teach students, and it's like, but you're one of the best runners in the world.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but like this is my job and that's my hobby.
I absolutely love it. It's brilliant. It makes it so much better. Like the like Martin Crocker is like done like loads and loads and loads of stuff, loads of climbing onside, loads of E7s, like really good. Like what he like he is and slash what like he's had loads of first cents around here, and like I'm pretty sure he was like a school teacher in Cheddar. And just like like they probably don't even realise that at the weekends he's just doing these like mentally sevens at Ogmore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, when students find out, or just like anyone that in the sort of, I'm going to say normal world, but it's just outside of whatever your interest is, right? When anyone finds out what you do for your hobby and then realises how good you are at it, like I think that's just like mind blowing to them.
Yeah.
And it could be like any sport, but it's like when they finally find out like, oh, you're quite a big deal in this, aren't you? Yeah, I love moments like that because it's just like, oh, like you don't just have to live this normal 9-to-5 life.
I know, yeah. It's like also I think the people who are like a lot of people who want to like sort of do something that like inspires them in a sport are the sort of people who are going to want to do other things in life. Do you know what I mean? They're the sort of people who maybe would want like a career or like to try and explore other things in their life, I suppose. So I suppose Because like a lot of the best climbers, they do other things, don't they? They're like, or like I suppose with any sport like that, which isn't football or rugby, they're like a lot of these people. They've got full-time jobs and like families and like other things going on.
Yeah.
They're just really good at managing their time.
Yeah, it's quite hard to make a living in anything that's not a major sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you said, football and rugby, they're obviously getting paid at the top level. They're getting paid like millions, but you're not going to get that in climbing.
I think it's kind of in climbing though. Like the top level, they're getting like a serious amount of money.
Yeah,
like Andre and all that, like ridiculous salary.
Yeah,
but then
and that's more recent.
Yeah,
that's a smaller percentage.
Very small percentage.
Yeah.
And then down from that, like even like like not far off the best in the world. They're like they work to some degree, like doing something.
Yeah,
like
because most of the money that's going to be in these sports is in things like sponsorships, like a big one, but like coaching, route setting, like you do a bit of route setting, managing a climbing gym, like things like that. Like you're doing jobs around the thing that you like, but not getting paid directly
to
for the
do
thing
it.
you like. And
Yeah,
that's a good like workaround, I think.
Yeah, it's like I suppose it's like like things like setting, I guess. Yeah, I suppose a lot of like pros set quite a lot, but they do it like on the side of their climbing, I guess, as opposed to like a lot of people who have made like route setting the thing that they do,
Yeah. And then you got like Gav, who's
coaching setter Gav.
Yeah. And he's just like he's so into his coaching.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure he's that bothered about climbing.
No, he's not bothered. He doesn't actually care. I was chatting to him today, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't want to be a good climber. I want to be a good coach."
Yeah.
Which is why he is, I guess.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, I love chatting to him about coaching. I had some really good chats with him.
Yeah.
On and off air about coaching, and he is so into it.
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah. I mean, fair play. It's why he's so good, isn't it? It's like.
Yeah. I remember asking him because he was into ultra running as well when I met him, and then the last time I had him on the podcast, I was asking him, "Oh, do you still have like your own goals and ambitions with running and stuff, like something away from coaching?" And he was like, "No, that's going to take away from my coaching."
Really?
And I was just like, "So you don't even want like that thing that's just away from coaching?" And he's like, "No, like coaching, that's priority number one." And he's just given up everything for it, and I'm just like, fair play.
Yeah.
That's commitment right there.
Yeah, and it's something that's making him money as well, I guess. It's like. Yeah. But I know people that do that with the sport. I think like maybe it doesn't end quite so well. Sacking off absolutely everything because of the whole like everything riding too much on that one thing. And people I know, people I know who've done that. It's not maybe been the best approach.
No, it can either go really well or so badly that you don't even enjoy the sport anymore. And then
like you put your whole life around a sport and you don't enjoy it, then you got absolutely nothing, and it's like, oh well.
I always think this with successful people. There's that survivor bias of if you talk to anyone that's been successful and it's like, how did you get there? How did you get to the top level of your sport? And they're always going to say like, oh, you got to train hard, you got to do this, do that. And then you look at the amount of other people that have followed that advice and done everything right like that person has, and maybe is more talented than them, but hasn't had the right opportunities. There's going to be like hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have done that and not got to that position.
Yeah, so much of it is luck. It's like all the people that die in climbing. You don't hear about the ones that are dead. Do you know what I mean? You only hear about all these survivor stories because they survived.
Yeah.
Like same as everything. You'd hear about the people. Loads of people work really hard at something, like really, really hard, and then only a certain few make it because of whatever. Because like opportunities present themselves, like the right time, the right place, and then you only hear the ones that make it, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems now with society as well. Everyone's like, like everyone almost wants to like be that person, and they sort of turn to social media, and they just hear that like they're not achieving it because they're not grinding hard enough. Do you know what I mean? They're not like getting up at 6 a.m. and like grinding and like they're not on it enough. Whereas actually, I think a lot of people are, but like they're just only a certain amount of people can make something out of something, can't they?
Yeah. I always find it fascinating when I meet the people that are doing the incredible things, but don't want people to know about.
Oh,
it as
it's
well.
brilliant. Yeah, absolutely love it.
Like,
Yeah.
there was this one guy that used to coach me free running, actually, Bobby, and he would just come out with these stories, and it was like, why does no one know about
I
this?
know,
Like,
yeah.
he cycled from London to Spain, I think it was, and then cycled back, but got a puncture on his way back, so he just stuffed his tyre with grass, and cycled back from Spain with a tyre just full of grass.
From Spain?
Yeah, and it was just like,
Why did you not buy?
What?
Do you not want to buy an inner tube, maybe?
no, he was just like, yeah, it was too expensive. I just wanted to get back. So just, yeah, cycled all the way back. And like, I remember being in London training, and he just rocks up on his bike. And then we was like, oh, you're right. He was like, yeah. It was like, oh, you just cycled from home, is it? It was like, no, I've just come back from Spain. Like, my tyre's full of grass. And we was just like, what? It's like, none of us even knew you was in Spain. And he was like, oh, yeah, I just fancied it. And he's just got like hundreds of stories like that where he's
Yeah.
just gone and done stuff and no one's known.
Yeah.
And unless you know him, you just wouldn't
You
know.
wouldn't know it happened. Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can imagine, like we were saying before we started, like Roy Thomas.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be like that. Like, I can imagine the amount of stories that man has.
It was so funny, right? So I was climbing the other day at Ogmore, and I was climbing with this guy, and I was going like, you know what? Because Roy Thomas has done loads there, and I was like, Roy Thomas, I've never met that guy. I wouldn't mind. Like, it'd be cool to meet him. He's done loads around here. And then he went, I'm sure you'll meet him at some point. And honestly, I swear to God, it was like he was summoned. He just like walks over the hill, like picking mushrooms, and like got chatting to him. And yeah, he's like a cool guy.
Yeah.
He's got a broken collarbone at the moment, I think.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
fair play.
he broke it in Pembroke, and he's still like doing things. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me.
No.
Yeah, I remember I just saw a post where he was on the South Wales climbing community thing, asking about help for bolting, and I was like, oh, I want to learn that stuff, and I just like met up with him, did some bolting, and then when I told people, like my friends that I'd climb with, I was like, oh, I was like doing some bolting over the weekend with this guy Roy. They're like, Roy Thomas, and I was like, yeah, I think that's his name. They're like, the Roy Thomas. And I was like, yeah, they're like, he's a legend. And I was like, I just had no idea. He was just a guy on a Facebook group to me.
Yeah. Well, he is, isn't he? He's just like a guy who just flipping loves it. He just
Yeah.
he just lives for it. Like, it was brilliant. I was chatting to me today, and like, you'd ask, like, he's just so psyched, like, tell you about things about climbing. Like I'd ask him a completely unrelated question, and he'd just start telling me about like how when Martin Crocker used to climb, he'd carry half of his rack and then do this and then pull it up, and like how Pat Littlejohn used to do things, and he just wants to just like, he's just a passionate man. He's just passionate about rock climbing. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And then my friend showed me, like, he got the South Wales climbing book out, and it tells you who bolted all the routes and stuff, and it was just like, Roy.
Yeah, he just loves it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a full-time job for him, basically. Like, before he did his collarbone, I think he'd just be out every day bolting.
Yeah.
He's just mad for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With your climbing then, so you've managed to get up to 9A. How have you managed to get there? What's made you get to that point that maybe others haven't managed to?
I don't know. Like, I mean, it's a weird one with climbing because, like, I've never felt like I've sort of been like I've like training or put in loads of sort of sacrifice, I suppose. 'Cause it's always what I've wanted to do. You know, like I've wanted to go to the wall in the evening. I've wanted to like maybe like get a good night's sleep for something I want to do the next day, or like I've wanted to be like always like trying to like make conditions work, or like train in a certain way to, or like be quite analytical about things. So it's never felt, I suppose I've done all those things, but it's never felt like a chore, I guess. You know, I really enjoy it. I really like, I just found something I really enjoy doing. So it's never felt like a chore to do those things.
Yeah. But you do all the right things by the sounds of it. Like, you do train, you do your hangboarding, you do
Yeah.
all of that sort of stuff. Like, how important is that stuff to actually getting better at climbing?
I think important, but I do also think like, the best way to get good at climbing is going rock climbing. I see so many people like in like climbing walls doing like pull-ups and hangboarding and all this sort of stuff, and like, you know, if you want to just get more in shape, then brilliant, like do it, it's brilliant, like, you know, it's good to just like be in shape, be strong, be fit. But a lot of these people, I think, like, if you want to get better at climbing, you need to go climbing. Like, I saw you climbing earlier. Like, you can't use your heels. Do you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can't stand on feet. Like you couldn't like keep your hips into the wall. You couldn't like you just need to go climbing. And so many people get so good at climbing by just going climbing. And to be honest, most of the training I do is like on the wall. Just like, like, for example, I'd like realized that I had like quite shit contact strength, and for like a few months, I'd just make sure at least once a week I climb on the board with ankle weights and not cut loose.
Yeah.
And like for body tension that was, or like for contact strength, I'd just like make sure I'm doing boulders that like really target that on the board. And a lot of what I do is just training on a wall in like an analytical way, I suppose. But I almost don't even view it as training. It's almost just like just having a board session with your mates,
Yeah. So it's more about sort of the intention behind your sessions rather than.
I think so. Yeah, I suppose training just means doing something with intention, really, doesn't it? I suppose training kind of means like you've got a goal and you're doing something with intention, I guess, as opposed to just turning up at the wall and just pottering about. I guess it's the same with any sport, isn't it? With running, like if you've got like a marathon you're training for, and you do a training run with an intention to run a certain distance in a certain time to prepare for a certain thing, I guess that is training, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you think, but that's sort of like, I guess that's what I'd see as the difference between training and just sort of exercise. It's like a goal and an intention behind what you're doing.
Yeah. My sort of thoughts on it, and I've built like a whole coaching philosophy around this. There's 3 things that will make you successful in any sort of area of your life. It doesn't even have to just be a sport, but like I always use sport as the medium to teach it. And there's 3 words, so belief, intent, and dedication. So the first thing you got to do is believe that it's achievable for you. Like if you went out climbing and you wanted to get better at climbing, but you didn't believe you could do a 9A, you're never going to try a 9A.
No.
Or you're going to try it, but you're going to be on the wall and you're going to be scared when it gets harder and you're like, I'm not good enough for this. So like belief is sort of number 1 for me because it sort of sets everything else up. You have to have intent, like you have to know what you're doing and why. Like the why you're doing something is important. Like the amount of runners that I'll coach or that I'll meet that will just, they like running. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to get better at running, you have to do like specific sessions, like your interval work. You have to do hills. You have to like have a reason for your running. Don't just go out and run. And then you've got to have dedication. So you have to like show up day in, day out, like do everything that you're meant to do, not just be like, oh, I just don't feel it today, so I'm not going to do it.
I agree. And I think the main thing is just like having a passion, though, really.
Yeah.
Having like a fire. But I think what a lot of people almost don't realise with a lot of sports and stuff is like all those things you described, which like are like essential for getting better at a sport. You don't have to do that. You can just be like busy in your life doing other things. But like, I'm just going to enjoy running for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go running every Saturday and every Tuesday with my mates around the park. I don't particularly want to get better for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna enjoy this and still be a part of my life.
And that's part of the conversations I have to have as a coach is, why do you have these goals? Like, does it actually matter to you? Or like you're saying, like, do you just want to enjoy it? Like some people want to come to the gym and they just enjoy going to the gym. And I'm like, cool, like enjoy it.
Yeah.
Don't worry if you've missed the session and like beat yourself up about it. Like, doesn't matter. Cause
Yeah.
You're not trying to compete. You're not training for an event. You're just doing it.
And people sort of love people. Yeah, people just love numbers. Like this whole, like especially with like energy systems training and stuff. People love to be like, I have to hang on here or do this for a certain amount of seconds and minutes to. But a lot of it is just like, like as long as you're hitting, targeting the right energy systems or like muscle groups or, with whatever you're doing, like you're gonna be getting better. Like I think people view differently, like going bouldering outside to bouldering indoors because they see it, indoors as like training. But there's kind of no or they view like going out and on starting E5s or different to a circuit board. But like you know, you're going to get similar energy system benefits from both of them, and you're going to get better at rock climbing on rock.
Yeah.
I think people like to feel like they're sort of grinding, don't they? People like to feel like they're sort of like they're like. I think a lot of people feel like they have to suffer to get better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, that is a very good sentence there. People feel like they have to suffer to get better. And that's in like anything.
yeah,
Like it could be in your career, you're like, oh, I have to work more hours than everyone else. And
yeah,
I can't have a life. I have to make all these sacrifices. It's like, do you have to?
yeah,
Like, does it matter that much?
yeah,
And it just comes back to that thing of like, is it really that serious?
yeah.
Yeah, everything is a bit too serious.
And people like to make things serious as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, don't they? Like, you know, make things out of nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But I guess you need people in the world like that, to be fair.
Yeah,
You do need people
there's
in
a
the world
place
like
for
that.
it, but it just depends what you want to get out of it at the end
Yeah.
of the day. Like, I think people that take it proper seriously should be the ones that are competing and getting sponsored and
Yeah.
things like that, and there's like that need, but then there's also the need for joy for them as well, because otherwise why would they want to do it?
But I think some people's brains work better when they're like that. Do you know what I mean? I think for some people they may be happier just being like that, which is also fine.
Yeah,
I guess deep down you just know whether you're enjoying something or not. Do you know what I mean? Deep down you just know whether something is working for you or not, like anything in life. And maybe for these people that's how they like their life to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't like fun. I'm not. Do you know what I mean? Maybe like they sort of prefer to just be like kind of everything to be regimented, like down to a T. And
yeah. I guess like a lot of people would look at me and think that I take everything quite seriously, and it's like I probably do take a lot of things quite seriously. Like I train, like when I'm training, I train really hard. I put a lot of intensity into my training. I am very into the numbers, but then I also just like to enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it comes to events. I like my training to be hard so I can turn up to an event and enjoy it, because most of my training's on my own, right? So
Yeah.
I always think like, what's the point in taking it easy if I'm just going to be sat here on my own anyway? Like, I might as well make it hard.
Yeah.
And that is like more fun for me. But then when I turn up to an event, even if I'm trying to like win a race or something, I still want to enjoy it, and I still want to have a laugh with everyone around me. And like, I do these big challenges, and I'm like, I want to make this as fun and enjoyable as an experience as I can.
Yeah. Which is good. Yeah.
And I feel like there's certain people that miss that part, and they'll go all in with a goal, and then they'll take the event really seriously to the point where they're not talking to anyone else there. They're not like having a laugh. They're just like headphones in, like in the zone. And I think I used to be like that because I just didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And I was just doing these things. But now it's a lot like, why can't I have fun doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it hilarious. People like, you know, falling out and getting on each other's tits at the crag and stuff as well. And it's like, you know, they're just like, everyone's just so high strung. You know, it's like, it's just like, this is tension that's got to be taken out somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
on that note, would you ever go into competitions and stuff? Is that something that you do at the moment?
Not really, to be honest. It's not something I do. Like, I suppose I just want to spend my time doing other things. Like, it's just not something that... It's also quite expensive, to be fair. I'd rather spend my money and time doing other things, I suppose, like actually rock climbing or doing other sports outside. Like, or focusing on other things. Yeah.
That's fair. Because just like any sport, really, a lot of the money in the sport is in competitions, and that's how you get your name out there, I guess. I'm assuming it's like pretty similar in climbing.
It is, but like it's actually quite different, rock climbing and competition climbing. Like, and I've dedicated a lot to it, and I'm not amazing at this. Like, a lot of competitions there's like weird like jumpy around shit, which I'm not like incredible at, you know. Like definitely like nowhere near as good as like all like the really good people. So yeah, I'd have to like sort of dedicate a lot of time to doing that.
Yeah. Is there sort of any way that you can see of competitions happening outside on real rock?
It used to. That's how competition started.
Okay.
Yeah, like in like Chile and places, and like in Italy they used to just like drill. They used to chip roots, and they were terrible because they obviously have no feet. It would just be like drilled pockets. They'd like it was really bad as well. They just like cut all the trees down, make like a big viewing platform, and just like drill like a ladder in rock basically. And yeah, that's where like it sort of that's where like it started. But then like like climbing outside can be a competition anyway if you want. Logging things on 8a.nu, getting points for it, like UKC tick lists and all this kind of stuff. It already can be a competition, I think, in that sense.
Yeah, it's just how to make money out of it, I guess, because there's going to be lots of people that are really good outdoor climbers that just don't get the same opportunities that like a competition climber would get.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it depends if you want to. I suppose.
Yeah, and whether you want that added pressure, like we've been talking about, how much that's going to impact your life.
Yeah.
So it seems like you take climbing kind of seriously, but not really.
Kind of, I guess. Yeah, I suppose.
Like you enjoy the training, you enjoy the fact that it's hard and you can get better, but it's more just fun for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about things like, because I know you was talking, you're doing your like dietitian qualifications, things like that. Like, how serious do you take nutrition for climbing and to get better at climbing, or is that more like a health thing?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Everyone, loads of people ask me that. Like, I suppose I'd like do a lot of stuff without kind of, almost without thinking with that. With that, I'd make sure like I have enough like, just sort of enough protein, enough like the right sort of carbs before, after training, like a reasonably good diet. And I've always loved cooking and sort of eating fairly well anyway. So I suppose I do like take. I suppose I kind of do, but definitely not as much as I could. And yeah, so I suppose yeah, but a lot of it I don't really think about. And a lot of what I do at uni as well is like a lot of it's quite clinical as well, like for inpatients in hospitals and like in the NHS, which is also really interesting, to be honest. I do enjoy that. So yeah.
So it's almost like separate from your climbing completely.
Yeah, like that, like because what sets apart a dietitian from a nutritionist is they're like a qualified healthcare professional. So, and it's like a protected title. So, and like you can't just apply to be a radiographer without a degree in radiography, being registered with their governing body and being registered with HCPC. But you can, or same goes for a doctor or a pharmacist. But you can, like, for example, a nutritionist doesn't, that title doesn't mean anything. And, a climbing coach, that title doesn't mean anything. Obviously, that's not to take away from, like, because there's loads of, like phenomenal nutritionists and climbing coaches. But, like, in terms of what a dietitian means, that's what it means. You have to be registered with HCPC and, like, have done an accredited course. So the NHS employs a lot of dietitians to work like in the community, helping people, in hospitals, helping people with like chronic disease, sort of. Like, a lot of it as well is like like feeding tubes. People are fed like through their nose with NG tubes or through their blood, or like dietitians work in the NHS and public health as well. So, and obviously in sports, and so it's quite broad, what dietitians do.
Yeah. And is it more the sort of like healthcare stuff that you're interested in with that, or is it more like sports stuff?
Sort of both, to be fair. I mean, like both really interest me. Or like as part of your degree, the same as any sort of healthcare professional degree, you've got to do placements, and they've like most of them are obviously clinical because they're in the NHS, and so that I do find that interesting. And what I also quite like about it is it's it's interesting, and you've got to think about it, but you're also on your feet chatting to people, because I can't just sit in front of a laptop all day. I find that really hard. So you're like chatting to people, it's interesting, but it's not so exhausting that you can't like then go and do your own thing in the evening. And it's also removed a bit from what you do in your hobby. But I also love the idea of sort of like combining it with climbing and like sports and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I suppose a lot of what I've looked at so far, like a lot of what I've looked at recently has been like clinical and that sort of stuff. But both are interesting, I think.
Yeah. I always find it interesting because a lot of the people I talk to in these sports, they do just have normal jobs, like we're saying, and it's like they don't spend their life thinking about that one aspect of like, oh, I'm a climber, like this is all I want to do. They do have like all these other branches of like, oh, that's just like a fun thing on the side.
Yeah.
And then you can still get to like a really good level with that. The amount of people I have on that like they've got a 9-to-5 job, they've got family, they've got kids, like young kids, and they're still out achieving amazing things. And it just shows that anyone can achieve the sort of things that you're doing.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I think it's also like people forget that it's okay to just sort of take a break for a bit or go slow for a bit, or like, not be like hammering all the time. Like anything, your career, like your hobby, whatever, you can sort of like take a step back.
And I think it's like a cool little spectrum. Like I was talking to my friend before, who I got into climbing, funnily enough, and we're very different ends of the spectrum. He's like, I work so then I can like go out and do my hobby afterwards. Like he does he's a postman, so he'll work like in the mornings basically, and then he's like, and then I've got the afternoon to go and climb and do this thing. And I was like, oh, don't you want to do something in your sport, like be a climbing coach or do this or that? And he's like, no, I'm quite happy as a postman. And then I'm the opposite. I'm like, I hate working a normal job. I want to do everything around sports and fitness, and like my business is just everything I enjoy about sports. And I'm just like, my whole life then is just based on one thing.
Yeah.
And we're just very different sides of the spectrum in that. Like I couldn't just be a postman. I don't think. I think I'd just get bored.
Yeah, I would really struggle to do a job that doesn't like challenge me, or I don't find interesting, or I don't feel like I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
Like I'd struggle to do a job where I just feel like I'm just sort of ticking over, climbing a ladder, making money But then I suppose I do look forward when I'm working or studying or whatever till it gets to 4, and I can just like fuck off and go climbing or surfing. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. So I think like you're more in the middle of the spectrum, where it's like you can have unrelated things, but you're still doing something that like really matters to you. Whereas like there's other people out there that are like, I'm quite happy sitting in an office to be like working in a call centre doing jobs that they don't necessarily like, but it earns them the freedom to do their hobbies in their spare time.
Yeah, so that wouldn't work for me, I don't think.
Yeah. No, and it's not for everyone, but like that, I think that spectrum's needed, and knowing where you are on it is needed.
Yeah.
Because I know that if I worked in an office doing a 9-to-5, I would be so depressed, and I couldn't live like that. And if I didn't know that, and I was just doing it, and I was depressed and not knowing why I'm depressed, like that would be like soul destroying.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm not there, and that's why I do the jobs that I do, because I'm like, I can't do that. Like it'll ruin me.
I guess there's people that do a job they hate though, like and have all their life riding or something, like a hobby. Like it can be quite a dangerous place to be, because anything riding on one thing is a bad idea, I think. Because I mean, just with climbing, what if you then just get a pulley injury? Like your social's taken away, your physical outlet's taken away. I think it's always nice to have like multiple things that you're like, even for you, for example, it's like your work side of it, your coaching and your personal training. There's other things you do like that give you certain outlets.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this job is very diverse.
Yeah.
Like I go from doing a podcast talking to someone to working, coaching like CrossFit classes, to then doing sports massage, to then go into like running events and supporting my clients at their events, and it's just I'm everywhere doing everything. All at
Yeah,
once.
it's like it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And I can just work with anyone. Like I've coached gymnastics, I've like coached climbing, I've coached like running, just free running, and it's just the amount of experience that I've built up, but it's all under the same sort of roof.
Yeah.
It's I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
So what's like your goal with climbing then? Is there anything at the moment that you're like working towards? Any projects you've got going?
Yeah, I
on?
suppose there's just loads of routes I'd like to do. Like I'm going to like Santillana in like a week in Spain. There's like a route I'd really like to do there that I got quite close on in April, but it kept seeping. It's quite annoying. It kept like seeping in weird places. Just kept like falling off. And then there's loads of routes I'd really like to do and experiences I'd like to have. I'd love to do loads in Pembroke. I'm actually going there tomorrow, to be fair. I'd love to do the big issue. Loads of like just all these good lines I'd love to do. Going sport climbing with some friends in South America next year. Quite excited for that. And yeah, I suppose I've just got a very long list of routes I'd like to try and do on site, and but no standout goals where it's like I've done that, I've done climbing,
Yeah. You don't think you're ever gonna like complete climbing?
No, never. No one ever would. Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. What's sort of the thing that's most exciting you about climbing right now?
Right now, I think it changes for me. Like in summer, I got really into and I think it didn't change for me. I think I maybe get bored. Like in summer, I went sport climbing for a bit in Flasanger, and then I spent quite a few weeks or like months, I suppose, almost just on site track climbing and doing bits of sport climbing, and I was really psyched on just going on site track climbing then. And then I had like a couple of like fairly small headpoint projects, not done like loads of that before. Did like a new route at Ogmore, did one in Pembroke, and I got quite psyched on doing that. And then, or for a few weeks, I got really psyched on just climbing at Ogmore. I just got really psyched at just like doing loads of these old routes at Ogmore that haven't been done in years. And then for the last few weeks, I've been into just training on the board. I've just got really psyched on like getting back in shape, getting strong again. And then I'm going to Spain next week. I'm going to be really psyched on sport climbing. So I think my goals have changed for me. I try and get them to like lead into things. Like, I've been really psyched for the last few weeks on just trying to like I maintain all the fitness I've got, but mainly the thing I've been psyched for is just like board climbing and just trying to get a bit stronger, which will lead nicely into like going on this trip. So I don't think I'm ever like I think there's lots of little things that excite me, and for like little periods I quite like just getting into things, and things keep me interested. Yeah.
So nothing like standing out, no sort of specific projects or climbs.
I guess like this route in Santillana I'd like to finish, and then the big issue would be nice to do because I like put a little bit of time into that last year, but then no like aside from them, no like super like like mega lifetime sort of things that I can think of off the top of my head. Or there's just lots of little things I'd like to do.
I always find it funny in climbing when I think about when you're getting to these top levels where people go on about like their projects, and it could be years going into a project, but obviously you've got all these other things around it, and you go and do other climbs and stuff, but like you just said then, like, oh, you did like a bit on a route last year and you want to get back to it, and it's like there's not many other sports where I think that's really applicable.
No, I suppose it's not like maybe there's not. The other cool thing about it is like because it's going to be there forever, you can have the same experience as someone else. Like you'll be touching the same holds and maybe having a similar experience that like a first ascensionist did like 20 years ago. It's like quite cool in that way, I think.
Yeah. No, it's a really interesting sport. There's so many sort of different degrees to it. Like, you've got your first ascents. You've got like you're going on about like red pointing, on-sighting. Like it's all just tons of different experiences.
Yeah. You can get a lot from it.
Yeah. What's been the biggest thing that you've learned from your time climbing?
I think a lot of things that you can just sort of apply. I think there's a lot of things you can with any sport you can apply to life, isn't there? Like, just ways to approach things, and which then you can just like apply in your life. A lot of things we've spoken about today, to be fair, that you've learned from a sport that you can then apply to your life, about what you want to get out of your life, how you want to live it. The one that I've learned the most, can't really.
Like if you had to go back and give younger you, the one that wanted to quit climbing, in the back of the car, being like, "Yeah, I've done it now. Like, bored of it." If you could go back to that kid and give him one piece of advice that you've learned from climbing, what would it be?
Maybe that you don't know what you don't know, because you don't know it.
Yeah.
So you don't know it's there, so you don't know that you don't know it. Yeah, because you feel like you know almost everything or something, but the thing you don't know it because you don't know it.
Yeah.
So
It's that, I can't think what the curve is called, but it's about how much you think you know compared to how much you know. And when you don't know a lot, you think you know everything. And then it, like, the more that you start learning, the less you think you know about the thing.
Yeah.
And then it's only when you become an expert that you're like, okay, no, I do actually know.
I know.
know it all.
I find it hilarious people talking about things they have no idea about, like they know like everything.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny.
Awesome. So I usually ask what's next, but you've already said you're off to Pembroke, you're going to Spain, you got some big trips planned next year. Anything else outside of climbing? What's like next for you there?
Next, I don't know. I enjoy doing a lot of other things. I got really into surfing last year, to be fair. Like, probably for like 2 or 3 months, I was more into it than climbing, to be fair. I'd go like a few times a week. Not done loads since, but I'd quite like to enjoy a bit more of the winter swell before it gets to summer again. I'd like to do a bit of that. Need to finish my degree. And yeah, got into the last couple of weeks I've been doing a bit more running, actually, just like trail running. I was really into running when I was a kid. I was really into like the whole like 5Ks and like times, and I was just like absolutely loved it. Like before I got into climbing and when I was climbing as well. But like the last couple of weeks I've been doing a bit of just like trail running, just like actually just looking for new crags as well, to be fair. And so I've quite enjoyed that, and I'd quite like to do a bit more of that. And like a bit more long distance stuff. But yeah, they're the main things, I suppose.
Any sort of goals with the running? I've got to ask because I'm proper into
Not
running.
really, but that's the thing. I'd quite like to like not, because I think what made me not like running is I just got so obsessed with like trying to like get PBs. I just sort of, and it was so brutally hard every time. I just sort of started to hate it, you know.
Yeah, this is why I like ultra so much.
Yeah.
Because like there's obviously an aspect of that because it's still a race. But for most people, it's not about, oh, I got to do a certain time or I got to come a certain place.
You've got to do it.
Yeah, it's just like, I want to be able to say that I've done that distance.
Yeah.
And it doesn't fucking matter how long it's taken me.
Yeah.
And you just meet so many people and there's so much food.
Yeah.
Like, that's the bonus for me. Like, I love the food.
Yeah.
But then I am hyper competitive, so I'm like, okay, no, I want to win.
Yeah, that it takes over though, doesn't it? It's like, that's the thing with, I used to flip and love it, to be fair, but like, I think I just used to be so like, I could never help myself.
Yeah.
And it's just so savage, isn't it? Like trying to like run a 5K fast. I used to just then like after like a few years of it, just start to like dread it a bit, and then just sort of like fell out of love with it a bit somehow. But
Yeah.
same as mountain biking. I used to be really into mountain biking and sort of, but then I don't know. It's not really like the whole competitive thing that drew me out of that. I just sort of ended up not having all the time in the world to do that as well.
No, that's fair. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. And yeah, I'll make sure to keep an eye out for all your adventures.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Adventure Athletes podcast. If you want to support the Adventure Athletes, the best way to do it is by sharing, liking, commenting, subscribing, and just getting as many listens to the podcast as possible. The more this podcast gets views, the more I can push it and get more guests, and yeah, just try and help it grow as much as I can. There's lots of things that I want to do with the podcast and the business. If you want to know more about the other side of the business as well, we do coaching both in person and online. We do sports massages. There's like a whole host of things that we do. Outdoor activity days, mountain days, and hopefully going into events next year as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that, guys. Really exciting things coming. So if you're interested in any of that, drop me a message and I will send you over the relevant information. Until next week.